and I'll do it. But I set tab to be my inventory. Normally I think it is end or page up or page down or something like that. And move over with the arrow keys. And you can see, oops, it's under key settings. All these different controls for this game. It's pretty much ridiculous. However, I'm going to be going over controls as they become necessary. So, we'll use WASD to move. W moves us forward. S moves us backward. D moves us to the right. A moves us to the left. Very cool. So let's go up and hit Q to unlock this gate. Now, whenever you see something like this occur, or pop up I should say, you want to hit enter and make it go away. Because that took me a long time to figure out. I had to look it up, actually. Now, let's see. I always do this just out of habit. And you can see here, they say right stick. Basically, it's a really bad Xbox port. The gameplay is beautiful once you master the controls, but the controls at first are terrible. Okay, so to look around, we use the mouse. To move around, we use WASD. Now, I just sprinted. What you're going to want to do is change. Let's see here. Dash roll backstep to left shift. So when you hold left shift and W, you run forward. Very cool. Alright, we're just gonna ignore these dudes. You can kill them, but you know what? It's not really necessary, and besides, they're just chilling, man. You don't have to kill them. So let's run through here. Same with that dude. Now, here's a new mechanic. I just realized I did it. Middle mouse button, or I don't remember what the heck the lock-on button is, but I've mapped it to middle mouse button. Will lock you onto an opponent. Now what does this do? Well, first, it centers your screen around that opponent. Man, excuse me guys, my apologies. So, what does this mean? You can move around an enemy with A and D if you're focused in, and instead of when you walk backwards, instead of the character turning to face you and moving backwards, the character simply walks backwards, and vice versa. Instead of that, we have that. Okay. Very good. Now to climb ladders, you press Q and you start climbing up with whatever button is to move forward. Now, oops, I didn't mean to go all the way up. Just to confirm, when you're on the ladder and you want to get down really quick, press shift or whatever your button to sprint is, and you will slide down much faster than climbing down. Okay, so let's head out. And you see, this is a bonfire. We're going to be seeing quite a lot of these throughout the game, and this is basically your home base. It allows you to fully heal, and it gets rid of all status effects that will be occurring throughout the game. There's a decent amount of them. And allows you to replenish your healing items. And now we only have a limited amount of healing items throughout this game. I believe the max is 20 with a few healing miracles, which can heal certain amounts of damage. This will replenish all of your healing items. However, all enemies that you previously killed will respawn. Usually enemies are not too close to the bonfire, so they won't immediately start attacking you, but this can be problematic, especially when you sometimes forget. So let's open this giant door. Alright, looking pretty cool in our knight armor. Okay, beautiful setting, beautiful area, and then we have this guy. Okay, welcome to your first boss of the game. And of course I get hit. Wow, that was freaking stupid. Okay. First boss of the game. Right here. Obviously he can do a lot of damage to us. He's not one-shotting us, so I mean this game is obviously fair, right? Well, let's go up and attack him. Doesn't do much damage at all. And we're getting hit and we're dying, and This game is the hardest game ever because it's totally unfair. I mean, what else are you supposed to do? Well, you run left. This time, the best option is to run away. Stick to the very far left wall, and you'll be perfectly fine. I guarantee. That gate will open right when he drops down. It'll close behind you. So it's the rest of the bonfire, and you can see that red bar at the top that represents our health is 100% full. Okay. Now, I did one thing there that I didn't really explain, But you can roll to dodge enemy attacks, like that. Not a very graceful roll, but it's still a roll. Now, you may hear me refer to something eventually called invincibility frames. Now, an invincibility... Man. What invincibility frames are... It's the time when you can dodge an enemy's attacks while rolling. There are 3 different types of rolls, each of which have either more or less invincibility frames depending on what kind of roll it is. For instance, the roll we have has the least amount of invincibility frames, so you have to be very precise when you roll. It's not too big of a deal. Alright, he's back. So you see, we can roll right under it. Okay, now we got a shield, so go to tab, and out of these 4 menus, go to change equipment, go down, and press enter, and 2 things come up. Go to the tower kite shield and equip it to your left hand. And you can see a lot of different things here. We have our right hand. This is always going to contain your weapon. And the weapon is controlled with left and right mouse click. Left click, as you can see, does 1 attack. And if we do right click, it does another kind of attack. Okay, very different, or very interesting, but how do they differ? Well, the left attack is very fast, but does less damage. A right attack, or strong attack, is slower, but does a lot more damage. And they also take up different amounts of stamina. You can see we have 2 bars up here in the top left corner. The red one is health. Green one is stamina. Hold on 1 second, guys. Sorry about that, guys. Just a very excited friend of mine who I haven't talked to all day. Now, I was explaining stamina. So the green bar is our stamina. Don't worry about the counter yet. It's not too important at the moment. So, you can see that when we attack, it starts to deplete. And you can see we can attack continuously when you have full stamina, but when you have no stamina, we cannot. We have to wait for a little bit of it to refill. So, for instance, I'll do it again. You can see we're attacking constantly, then our stamina runs out, and I can click as much as I want, and yet we can't attack until stamina comes back. Very important. You don't want to let your stamina get low like that. Now, another thing. There's a way to 2-hand weapons in this game. I marked it for T, and you notice I have everything kind of around WASD, so that I can quickly switch to 1 hand so I can use my shield, or switch to 2 hands. Switching to 2 hands changes the layout of weapons. Good, just making sure I wasn't muted. Changes the weapon layout, or the moveset of weapons. So, for instance, even though we probably shouldn't be using this weapon, you know what? Yeah, let's explain shield. I don't know, let's just grab our sword. Roll through. Okay. Let's grab our sword to finish explaining this, and then we'll explain how shields work. There we go. Okay. So, 1-handed attack with the broadsword does that. 2-handed attack does that. Now, that may look really similar. This is a slash. This is an overhand. This is a slash. This is a more powerful slash. Broadsword isn't too diverse, but if we were using a different weapon, it would be much more diverse. Now, shields. You can block. Pretty standard. You can take enemy hits. Or you can parry. We'll get into parrying a bit later. But for now, let's focus on blocking. So, let's focus on this guy. You can see we can take hits. However, if you look up on the top screen, right top left side of the screen, right when we take hits, our stamina depletes. Come on, dude. I'm doing a demonstration for the people. Watch. See, our stamina depletes. Now, this varies with every shield. Excuse me. Because there's a property in this game called stability. Each shield has a different kind of stability, and it basically makes it so that the lower the stability, the less hits that your shield can take before your guard is broken. And I'll try to show a guard break later on. The higher the stability, you can take many more hits. Okay. Also, heavier attacks, if you have a lower stability shield, your guard will be broken by a heavier attack, whereas a higher stability shield will just deflect those attacks. Now you see this giant thing of fog, just hit Q, it's nothing dangerous. And we're through. Basically those fog gates just mark different areas. Alright. Let's look around. and get hit by a boulder. Yep, it happens to everybody. If you want to dodge that, get up to about this height, either roll away, or just walk off the edge. It's nothing too big. And besides, I didn't even do all that much damage. But let's head in here, because we have a friend. Sup, man? Hey, you freed me from my cell.
Oh, you. You're no hollow. Thank goodness. I'm done for, I'm afraid. I'll die soon, then lose my sanity. I wish to ask something of you. You and I are both undead. Hear me out, will you?
Yeah, of course, man. What do you need?
Regrettably, I have failed in my mission, but perhaps you can keep the torch lit. There is an old saying in my family, "Thou who art undead art chosen, and thine exodus from the undead asylum maketh pilgrimage to the land of ancient lords. When thou ringeth the bell of awakening, the fate of the undead thou shalt know." Well, now you know, and I can die with hope in my heart. Oh, one more thing. Here, take this. An Estus flask, an undead favorite. Oh, and this. Now I must bid farewell. I would hate to harm you after death. So go now, and thank you.
Thanks, man. Now, this SS flask that we received, this supposed undead favorite, is actually a healing item. And I mapped the use of all items to E. So, for instance, you can see my health in the top left corner. If I hit E, we'll drink, and refills our health. It doesn't refill all your health. It just refilled it all because we took a little damage. Now, this guy. That's a parry. A parry is done... I mapped it to alt. What a parry is... that wasn't a parry. That was a partial parry. I'll explain that in a minute. A parry knocks your opponent back, leaving them wide open. Now you can see the obvious repercussions of this. I mean, they can't defend themselves. They're really vulnerable. However, you can also do something else. But I want to talk about parry timing. How I picture it is right when the weapon's about to hit you, as like your character, as if it were real life, that's when you want to parry. Gosh dang it, why can't I do it? There you go, jerk. Now, this is actually really hard to talk about and do at the same time. Now, you can basically stand here and do this all the way as the knight. Because even if we get hit and this dude runs forward, just heal, he will not stagger us. Now, you may wonder, why isn't he staggering us when we hit him and he gets staggered? Well, first let's practice parrying a few more times. Now, here's one thing you need to know about, another thing you need to know about parrying. The riposte. It's the attack. So, you do... Come on. You do that, and then you do a normal attack with the left mouse, and you do a riposte. This does a massive amount of critical damage, as you saw there, with the fact that we did 162 damage. And for a lot of enemies, it's a one-shot kill. Now, I want to talk to you about something called poise. You can see over here we have something called 46 poise. Poise is our ability to take hits without staggering. The higher the poise, the more hits you can take, and the heavier the hits. The less poise, you tend to stagger a lot. However, heavier armor tends to make you move a lot slower and have slower rolls, whereas lighter armor with less poise allows you to move faster and have faster rolls. So, for instance, think of... Oops. Yeah, let's do that. So, now we have a different kind of roll. Let me get on flat ground to show you guys. See, we end up on our back, whereas before we kind of leaned in with our shoulder. We have more invincibility frames this way, and we move a lot faster. Alright, very cool. Now, just to demonstrate, we have an even faster roll, and we move even faster just by walking around. Very neat. Alright, let's replace all of our stuff, because I like heavy armor. Now, hold on. Okay.